I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting. My friend Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. This is presented by our good friends, our delicious friends at Chicken Express. Although technically, they're not delicious. It's just their food is delicious.
Can we do a Sports Center?
Yeah. To be clear.
Tried a new item this week.
Did you really?
Yes. Which I didn't think there were anything there new for me to try. Yeah. They have spicy chicken tenders now.
Oh my gosh, yes, and they are phenomenal.
Yes.
Are you just?
You didn't? Oh yeah, okay, good.
I knew this.
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I always just get the regular chicken tenders and put the serendipity seasoning on them.
You got to get the spicy, put the serendipity in the gravy. That's
okay.
It's a lot of kick, but
right. No. You're exactly right, because the key is okay. I'll be very clear. Regular tenders and gravy, very good, very good. Spicy tenders and gravy,
it was elevated.
Next level.
Yep. It was elevated.
Next level. It's crazy. It's really good.
I will say, if you don't like super spicy stuff, it's still worth it to get the spicy tenders. Get ranch to dip it in because it kind of cools your mouth off.
No. I got to go with the gravy. If I don't get gravy on my knuckles, then it's not really Chicken Express.
It's Greg Powers and Next Level Athlete. We're going to run through some recruiting items here. And then at the end of this segment, we're going to talk about our mutual disdain for a certain baseball team. We'll get into that. But first, you can find his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. We're going to start this week with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, let's go to a school that, I feel like is not necessarily, from the private school ranks, is not one of those schools that is a known prospect factory. They don't put out it's not like a Bel Air Episcopal or a Parish Episcopal or St. Pius X. There's a handful of private schools that put out prospects every year. Not necessarily the case with Fort Bend Christian, and yet they have one of the biggest, prospects in the class of 2021 in Remington Strickland, their offensive tackle. We don't have him in the Hot 100 yet. Feels like maybe we're going to need to change that pretty soon.
I agree with you. I think out of all the prospects, we've been doing deep dives in the film room over the last couple weeks as we prepare for DCTF Rising magazine, which will be on the shelves in December. Mm-hmm. So a lot of work goes into that, uncovering prospects, re-evaluating prospects who should be in the magazine or not be in the magazine. And one of the highest risers to me, regardless of class, regardless of position, is going to be Remington Strickland. This dude is a monster. He kind of reminds me, and I don't know if all Texas high school football fans will be familiar with this name, but he kind of reminds me of Braden Smith, who played at Auburn, is now playing in the NFL, who's a huge interior offensive lineman that was a 5-star out of Kansas when he signed with Auburn. One of these guys who could probably fit in most naturally as a right tackle in college, but he could also slide in and play guard and has some upside to potentially be that island guy as well. Huge arms, jacked physique, and now he has 29 scholarship offers, so I think he's one of these guys who will go from outside the Hot 100 before the season and then jump up possibly into the top 50. How high he will climb is the only question. Will he go into the top 25? But I think he's one of these guys who's probably going to end up being a definite 4-star. You fall short of that, of committing to that when you're doing prospect evaluations, because you want to do your due diligence to make sure the prospects in front of him currently also didn't make the same type of improvements, so you want to try to look at everyone you can before you make these wholesale changes to your recruiting rankings.
Man, let me tell you something, because you and I both, in some ways, operate in a similar space, which is the rankings world.
Right.
We do Texas high school football rankings. You do recruiting rankings. And one thing I think people don't understand is that if you have a top 25, if you say, well, so-and-so should be on the top 25, don't necessarily disagree. Who are you going to remove, though? There has there's a finite number, and that's one thing that for us right now, yes, Remington Strickland is not ranked. He may be ranked to in a bit. We may try to find a way to get him into the Hot 100. He may be that good, but then we're gonna have to remove somebody from the Hot 100 too, and you have to do your due diligence to make sure that person is quote unquote no longer worthy of the Hot 100 as well.
I agree. I just want to try to always do what's fair by these high school prospects who are student athletes. They commit to playing football, also have to take care of their academics, train to be considered top tier prospects. But you have to kind of evaluate everyone before you say, oh well, now Remington Strickland is better than this guy. Well, if you didn't watch senior tape on that guy, how do you definitively know that? So you really try to do your best job and to do what's fair, not only for your own ranking so that they're good, but also what's fair to prospects who you may lower down the list, that you take it seriously. You don't want to put a team that's not – you don't want to take a team out of your top 25 when it's not the right thing to do, right? Same thing with us in the top 50. That top 50 mark is the 4-star line of demarcation. And once you're out of the top 50, you're a 3-star. So we do take it seriously every time we have to lower a kid out of it.
Let's go to our commit of the week. In our commit of the week, we're going to stick in the class of 2021. We're going to stick on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to stick at offensive tackle.
It's a very offensive line heavy notebook today.
Let's talk about Mansfield Summit 2021 offensive lineman Jacoby Jackson, who committed this week, had a bevy of offers from all over the place, including a bunch in the Big 12. He is staying in the Big 12. He is heading to Lubbock. Matt Wells hauls in Mansfield Summit 2021 offensive lineman Jacoby Jackson, a guy who we have as the 9th rated tackle in the state.
And he was a one-time TCU commit. His father, Cedric Jackson, played at TCU, so big pickup for the Red Raiders to be able to steal Jacoby Jackson in a way. He decommitted from TCU a few months ago, so it wasn't like he was just jumping from their commit list onto Texas Tech's commit list. But I think they beat out 2 Big 12 schools for him, most definitively in Baylor and TCU. Baylor's put together a tremendous offensive line class, and now Texas Tech is starting to add to theirs because they also have a commitment from Argyle offensive lineman Jack Tucker, and I think Jacoby Jackson is a good complement to this. Jacoby's one of those guys who plays left tackle for Mansfield Summit. He's been playing that position for 3 years there, but I think he has the size and natural ability to possibly move inside. Very versatile guy up front, could play – 4 of the positions, I believe, on that offensive line, and has really good feet. They're a team who likes to move the football up and down the field very quickly, and I think Jacoby Jackson is the type of guy, if you do move him inside, can keep up with the fast-paced offense at the next level.
Yeah, he's certainly a guy to keep an eye on, and I know that Texas Tech fans are going to be excited to see him suit up in the black and red. We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Let's move to our Underclassmen of the Week. Our Underclassmen of the Week, this time we're going to go to the class of 2023, but we're going to stick with the offensive tackle. And this time, let's talk about Arlington Lamar tackle Isaiah Robinson. He is in the class of 2023, so he is a sophomore this year. So he is presumably like 15 or 16 years old, right?
Yep.
That's the sophomore range. He is 6'6" and 285 pounds. That's a large child.
He's been eating some Chicken Express.
He is now a large child with an offer from the University of Texas. And this is, by the way, a Texas program that has had success and has generally had pretty good eyes on the Arlington area.
I agree 100%, especially at Arlington Martin. I think they were the first offer for R.J. Cooper, who's now a big-time defensive end recruit in the class of 2022. They're the first offer here for Isaiah at Arlington Lamar, a program that has definitely been sending and known to send a lot of prospects onto the next level that have been successful. They have Shane Buechele playing at SMU this year. They had the West boys who, one's committed to North Texas, one signed with Oklahoma last year. So there's a lot of talent in that Arlington Lamar program. And one thing that I really like about Arlington Lamar's developmental system is these guys seem to be successful once they get to college. And that says something to me that they're doing something right to get these guys prepared to go into the next level and have that success. This dude's just a puppy. He's going to get better and better. His first offer being from the Texas Longhorns kind of signifies that the floodgates are probably about to open as more teams get to see his film. And certainly there's been some buzz behind the scenes in the scouting world about this guy. I think he's about to take off.
Yeah, he's a guy, certainly. I mean, look, the measurables kind of speak for themselves. And this is a Lamar program that has had a history, as you mentioned, of putting out prospects and does a good job. This is just a small thing, but Lamar does a good job of promoting their guys. Lamar does a good job of making sure that colleges know about their guys. And so there's not a guy, for example, there's not a kid on Lamar that's a prospect that you, Greg Powers, are unaware of. They make sure, they're like, hey, by the way, we've got a tackle, 2023, here's what he does well, here's what he needs to work on, but we're really high on him. Not every program is like that, but Lamar, and I would say really generally Arlington ISD, most of those Arlington schools tend to be like that.
Yeah, definitely. Arlington Martin's another school. Arlington, up and down the list. Arlington Sam Houston is starting to crank out more and more prospects in every class. As a matter of fact, there was a Arlington Lamar DB who jumps out at me on tape. I was evaluating yesterday Javian Taviano, so he's a guy in the class of 2023 who's about to blow up nationally. So a lot of talent down there in AISD.
Let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week is our very special Rio Grande Valley boy this year. He's the Dave Campbell's Texas football Rio Grande Valley boy of class of 2021. Is Sharyland Pioneer quarterback Eddie Lee Marburger, who had his, I believe, his season opener. The season opener this year, this past week, with their win over McAllen Rowe, and all he did was throw for 405 yards and 4 touchdowns, ran for another 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. We have him as a 3-star prospect. That is about 5 stars too few for me. I love Eddie Lee Marburger. I think he is awesome. He's a 3-star prospect heading to UTSA at this point. And I don't know. I'm just the guy that I think the more you watch Eddie Lee Marburger, the more colleges are going to be like, hey, knock, 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 knock. Like, do you want to come play for us?
Reminder, too, he's also in the running for Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week this week.
Yes.
So I'm throwing that out there.
Yeah, definitely. And schools are knocking. He's already picked up a P5 offer from Colorado since making his commitment to UTSA. But another, great indicator that Jeff Traylor really knows what he's doing in the state of Texas when it comes to the recruiting game. Was able to get eyes on this guy early, get him on the commitment list before everybody else really wanted to try to jump in. And he's just one of those guys who has the it factor when he's on the field. He puts up big numbers, and I'm sure they were chomping at the bit. This was their first game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he keeps on this trajectory, he's going to have some big numbers this year.
Yeah, he has been spectacular, and this is the perfect example of a kid who I really and truly believe if he played, I'm not even saying at a big program in DFW Metroplex or a big program in Houston. If he just played at a program in the Houston area, like there's nothing that's stopping him from being that kind of guy. Like this is you like right now, who is the kid in Carrollton who went to Purdue? David Blau.
Yep.
David Blau. Real solid prospect, right? That was he at Creekview?
Yes, Carrollton
Okay,
Creekview.
Carrollton Creekview. Respect to Carrollton Creekview, that's not a program that's like a hot spot for recruiting. But he was in the right area, and so his skill set got noticed. I feel like if you just transport Eddie Lee Marburger to a place that has an interstate going through it, then like we're talking about him as like having offers from all over the state. That's just me. I'm biased. I admit that.
And I'm glad that we opened the door up to give your evaluation of Eddie Lee Marburger because you're so high on him. This is really what I wanted to do in this segment was to hear you tell us why Marburger should be higher on the rankings list. But I will admit, this is an unusually deep year at the quarterback position in the state of Texas. There are a lot of good ones. And we're in a pandemic year where college coaches can't go out and see these guys. So how high would have Marburger climbed if college coaches were able to go through there this spring? And right now in the fall, if they were there on the sidelines to watch him play, a 6-touchdown performance in his opening game, that could be a game changer. But right now the Roadrunners fans ought to be very happy that he's sitting on their commitment list. And I know that Jeff Traylor is going to work hard to keep him there.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 quarterbacks in the Hot 100.
Yep.
That, and I know people are saying, yeah, well, that sounds normal. I will tell you, and I think you can say that is not normal.
It's usually around 6.
Yeah.
So it's about double.
I mean, but you look up and down, there's a ton of outstanding quarterbacks. I mean, we have kids who are committed to Texas that we don't have in our Hot 100.
Yep.
Charles Wright
Yep.
is not in our Hot 100, and yet he is committed to Texas. You got to commit to Pitt. You got to commit to Virginia. You got to commit to UTSA, commit to Florida, commit to Boise State. All not in the Hot 100. It's a crazy year.
You really worry about that Boise State one coming back to haunt you because they're going to put up numbers. Ugh.
Absolutely. Okay, let's round this out with some really important talk. The World Series started yesterday. And you are a big Reds fan. A Cincinnati Reds fan. This is, you asked me before the show, you said, hey, is there a part of you that's a little bit like deep in your brain that's a Cardinals fan? Because for those who don't know, I'm married to a girl from St. Louis. She's a Cardinals fan. Her family is Cardinals fans. I'm surrounded by Cardinals fans. Let me answer that unequivocally. The answer is 100% no.
Awesome.
I despise the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay? And my wife knows this. My wife knows this. My wife knows this. And so we are in lockstep here. Even though you are a fan of the NL Central and I'm a fan of the American League West, we share a bond. And that bond is
the disdain.
That hate bond, for the Cardinals.
That bond is I hope the Cardinals never win another game.
There's no player I like more or least like more than Yadier Molina for whatever reason.
See, and that's among my wife's favorite Cardinals too. She's
Oh,
like,
I'm sure if you're a Cardinals
love
fan,
Yachty.
that
He's great.
if you're a Cardinals fan,
Love
you
him.
have to love him.
Nope. And the thing is, here's the thing: this predates 2011 because I went to school in Missouri.
That was my question.
I went to school in Missouri, so I was surrounded by Cardinals fans. Okay, let me tell you about Cardinals fans. Okay, they're a lot. Okay, they are a lot. So, yes, we are in lockstep, and I think probably for the same reason. A, they've beaten our team in critical games.
Yeah.
But B,
In the most
their
critical.
fans can just be obnoxious.
Oh, I'll throw a C out there, is that no matter what happens, and this is a little bit of bitter feelings as being a Reds fan. No matter what happens to that roster, whoever they plug in, if somebody goes down for the year, whoever they put in that person's spot, inevitably is better than the guy who got hurt.
Yes.
It drives me nuts. So that's, a little bit of bitter inside of me towards the Cardinals because they've been so good for so long. But the Reds are on the rise, so that's a good thing. I don't think we're going to get Trevor Bauer re-signed, but that's okay.
It's okay.
That's
Reds,
okay.
2021 World Series, Reds, Rangers.
That would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
Right.
And I know the man to go to for tickets as well.
Ashley Pickle. That's Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. And, of course, see his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, appreciate your time. We'll do it again next week.
See y'all then.
There he is from the Greg Powers Memorial Power Zone. It's Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete.